So today we're going to do the handover video on this Elddis Autoquest 145. We're going to start on the outside and then we'll move on to the inside. So firstly, coming over to the passenger side, opening up your diesel tank. As you can see, fill up your diesel from the passenger side just here. Opening up the passenger door as well. You'll also notice you've got your bonnet release catch. I'll just pop the bonnet now and show you underneath there. There's not many things that you need to know underneath the bonnet. The main things that you need to know is if you ever jump start the end of the vehicle. I'll just lift the bonnet up for you now. As you can see, the bonnet has been lifted. Underneath here, this is where your positive terminal goes. So when you're connecting your positive, that just connects onto there. Your negative terminal, as indicated by the sticker here, just connects onto this piece here. They're the main things that you need to know underneath here, but just to point out a couple more things, you've got your engine oil along with your dipstick below, your engine coolant, your brake disc fluid, your power steering fluid, and then finally your washer fluid, which is up at the top there. Before I carry on as well with the video, please know that the vehicle is waiting to be valeted. I just wanted to get this video done and out to you before your collection, so just look past any bits. As I say, it's due a valet. On the other side of the vehicle, you can see that you've got your fridge vents here. If it is a hot day, I recommend keeping this under the shade. Obviously, it's going to help the fridge run more efficiently. And directly underneath your fridge vent, you have got your first drain down point. Now, you'll notice that you've got this little metal piece here. That's just an exhaust system. You don't need to worry about that. But this, as I say, is your first drain down point in the vehicle. Now, there's three main drain down points in the vehicle. There's your waste drain down point. There's your fresh there's your fresh drain down point, and there's also your boiler drain down point, which is located on the inside of the vehicle. For all your drain down points, you need to ensure that once you're moving off site, you drain them all down correctly. You'll have a big grid on site that you can drive over. Simply turn the knob or turn the handle, just like so. Can't do it with one hand, but that turns and that will open it up and allow you to drain all the water out. Drain the majority, and this goes, as I say, for all your drain down points, drain the majority of water out on site into the grid, and then as you're travelling home you can leave all your drain down points open, because the vibration of the road will just ensure that last bit of water is completely out of the tank by the time you arrive home. When the vehicle isn't in use, you should always ensure that the vehicle's drained down correctly. It's not so bad in the warmer months, but in the colder months you absolutely need to do that. As I say, wastewater drain down is just there. Moving on, you've got your fresh fill up point for your fresh water. Just need your key to unlock this, then this pops out, and then using a food grade hose pipe, you can pop your food grade hose pipe into there and start filling the tank. When it's overflowing, you know you've filled your tank, and then you can put your cap back on. So it's dead easy and dead simple. This will take about 100 litres of water. Whilst we're on the topic of that as well, I don't recommend drinking out the fresh water tank. I often recommend just taking bottled water, but obviously you are alright for cups of tea and stuff like that, and when you're boiling the water. But because the tank is plastic, I would just recommend drinking out of bottled water. Next to that, if I open this up, this is where your leisure battery is located. I've just opened that up for you now. As you can see, with the locker door open, you get your access to your leisure battery. And in here, this is where you can plug into your 230 volts. So when you're on site, you can have mains electric into the vehicle. So you can operate your 230 volt plugs and run the fridge and things like that. The lead just goes in here, and the end of the lead just goes out. And obviously into the post on the campsite. Underneath here as well, this brings us on to your drain down point for your fresh water. This is the exact same as the waste in the fact that you need to just turn this to open and close it. And as I mentioned, you'll have a big grid on the on site that you need to drive over and empty that tank out. But that's how you do it. As I say, these two drain down points are external, and your boiler drain down point, which is your final one, is located on the inside, which I'll show you how to do shortly. Moving on to the back of the vehicle, you can see that you've got your trim vent here. This is in essence your chimney. When you're stationary and you're using the vehicle, the vent cover needs to be off, as it is now. And then when travelling, you've got a cover which is located in the vehicle at the moment that just slots onto there. and then you are good to go. You can travel. The reason for that is you don't want any, you don't really want any water or mud or debris getting in here. But as I say, when you're on site, that needs to come off to allow the system to breathe. If you don't remove that, you'll gas the system out and you'll need to reset it, which is a bit of a nightmare. So please make sure that when the vehicle's in use and it's stationary, the cap is removed, and when travelling, the cap goes back on. Moving around to the back, you've got a bike rack on the back of here. Just simply unscrew the arms and then you can pull down the rack to put your bikes on. Moving round, you've then got your LPG gas locker. This is where your gas bottles are stored. I'll open that up for you now. As you can see, this is your gas locker. It will hold two 6 kg calibre gas bottles, and you'll notice that you have got your gas regulator, which is here. You'll need a pigtail which will connect onto this regulator and then into the gas bottle, and then you can simply turn the gas on at the bottle and allow that to flow through. Now when travelling, you should always have the gas turned off. You don't want to be travelling with gas on due to safety, but then obviously when you're on site, you can turn your gas on and start using it throughout the vehicle. Moving on, you can then see you've got a little it says TV aerial on here, so if you're on site you can plug into an external aerial on the site. That's where it goes. That's all that is. And then moving on, this is where your cassette locker is located. With the locker open, you can see it gains you access to the cassette toilet. To remove this, you need to firstly make sure that the blade on the toilet is closed. If the blade is open, this won't remove. It'll get jammed and forced, and then you'll subsequently break it. So please ensure that the blade on the toilet is closed before removing. To remove it, lift up on the handle, slide out just by pulling towards you. You can see that just frees up the cassette toilet like so. To empty this, all you need to do is simply pull the funnel out like so. Remove the cap and clicking the orange button on the back there, that will release an internal vacuum which will empty the entire cassette. You can put a bit of water in here to swill it out, and then if you have got blue fluid, using the cap as a measurement, you can put it straight in the cap and straight in the tank. If you're using toilet sachets, they can just go straight down the toilet. And that's all you need to know really. You have got this orange little valve here that does turn. You should never need to turn this. This should always stay in this position. If this is slightly off, for example, it will not allow you to put it back into the correct place. This is what basically connects with the blade on the toilet and allows you to open and close the cassette. But as I say, you should always leave this in this position. If it's come out like that, it needs to go back in like that basically. When you're ready, all you need to do is line it up like so, push it all the way in until the little orange clip mounts into there, and then you're good to go. Before we move on to the inside as well, you can see this vehicle has got an awning on the outside. Now with the awning, you need to be careful when you're using it. If it is a windy day, don't use it, because as you can imagine, it is a massive sail at the end of the day. So if there's any bit of wind that'll go underneath it, it could potentially rip it and tear the canopy. So please ensure that you only use this when it's not windy. You've got to also bear in mind, if it is raining, you can use it, but come a dry day, you need to pull that out and obviously dry it out, or else it will lead to mould and rot. Okie dokie, so we're now going to move on to the inside of the vehicle. As you walk in, you've got obviously your cab, 2 front seats, and then your passenger seats here. And on the right hand side as you walk in, you'll notice you've got your control panel. Your control panel is dead easy. To firstly turn it on, you've got something called the master. Turn that on and off. You can see your lights then turn on and off with that. You then got individual controls for that. So next you've got, it says awning, you've got a little awning light or door light which is on the outside of the vehicle, so you can turn that on and off when you need. Next up you've got your pump. Click that, that'll activate your pump. Please ensure that when you're running the pump there's water in the vehicle. You obviously don't want to be running the pump if there's no water in the vehicle, because you'll simply burn it out. So when you're on site, you've got water in the system, all you need to do is click your pump on, then go to your taps, and then all you need to do is turn your tap to hot, turn it on, and then allow it to flow through. It'll spurt and splutter initially, and then when it's running steadily, you've primed your system for your hot water. And what that's doing is it's pulling fresh water from the fresh water tank into the boiler and out of the tap. Once you've done that, flick it over to cooled and do the exact same. And when it's running steadily, you've primed your system. You need to do this for, of course, all your taps, including your shower, to get any airlocks out of the system, and then you're good to go. Now, each of these taps have something called a micro switch on, which will activate and deactivate the pump whenever you require. So it's just very similar to at home. So providing you've got water in the tank, you can leave your pump running. But it's dead easy and dead simple. Now, the reason I tell you to run the hot system first and run it through the hot water is, as I've mentioned, it pulls it through from the fresh water into the boiler and out of the tap. The boiler will hold about 10 litres of water, and obviously it's got to get 10 litres through there before it can get it out of the tap. Now, when you're on site, this is the first thing you do. You pull water into the boiler and out of your tap. It'll ensure that that boiler is ready, full of water. When you then turn your heating on, if that's the first thing you do, when you obviously it's 10 litres of water, so it is going to take a bit of time. It's going to take at least 30 to 40 minutes to get it up to temperature. So with that in mind, if that's the first thing that you do when you're on site, and you turn your heating on after you've done this, which I'll show you obviously how to do shortly, it'll just ensure your water is up to temperature for when you need it. Once you've got set up on site, you're ready to use it. Coming back over to the control panel then. So we've spoken about your pump and priming your system. You've then got your lights, which turn on and off your lights on the inside of the vehicle. You've then got your water level. If you hold that down on the top, you can see it shows that we've got a bit of water in the vehicle at the moment. It's nearly full. All you need to do is simply hold that down and it just indicates just like that. Next up, you've then got your aux level, as you can see, and it says a vehicle level, or this can be set up for in the middle, in essence off. So when you're not using the vehicle, you've got two systems that you need to go through. You've got to turn on the aux, and you've got to turn on your master, and that, as you can see, will turn everything on. Now, you can run the lights and everything off your vehicle battery. This is what that VEH means. I don't recommend doing that, because that will in essence mean that you're running everything off the vehicle battery and you could potentially be stranded and left without any power. Always run it off the auxiliary. What this does though is the auxiliary battery, as you can see, if I click that, it shows you your level in terms of volts, and then if you click it on the vehicle battery, it shows you the same level as well for the vehicle battery. And as I mentioned, in the middle is off. But when you're on site, you'll click that, you'll then obviously make sure that your master's on, and then you can turn your lights on and obviously use your pump. It's dead simple, that, dead handy. You've also got, as you walk in, a step button here that pushes the step in and out should you need it. Now in the lounge area at the front, just underneath here, you have got a bit of storage. One thing I wanted to point out is you can see you've got a red tap which is just located there. That is an isolator switch. You've got a few of them in the vehicle. There's no need to turn them, they should always remain open. They only are there really for when we're working on the vehicle, so there's no need to turn them or anything like that. But it's just to point out if you ever see them in the vehicle. On all of your windows, you can see you've got a fly screen and also a blackout blind. And you can also open all of your windows just by undoing the latches and pushing out. And using the black knobs on each side, you can then tighten the window into place. You can also put these windows on venting like so, just to allow a little bit of airflow. But when travelling, please ensure that the windows are securely fastened in place to ensure no wind gets underneath it. Before we move on to the back as well, just to mention, you've got your double bed up here, complete with a set of ladders. This does push up as well, just to give you a little bit more head height into the cab, makes it feel a little bit bigger as well. Moving into the kitchen area now. Now I've spoken obviously about priming your system for your tap and your water and everything. Up at the top you've got a microwave in this. This is a 230 volt microwave. It will only work on 230 volt, bear that in mind. So when you're on site you can use it, but when you're wild camping or anything else you're not going to be able to use it. Just bear that in mind. Now underneath you've got your hobs here. So gas hobs of course, and then an oven and grill which is a decent size. You've plenty of storage as well underneath. And in fact, as you can see, there's more of them taps that I was saying. They're the isolator valves. Again, there's no need to obviously turn them. A bit more storage as well, which is a really nice bit of storage. And then you've got your fridge. This is a Dometic fridge, as you can see, and it's a 3-way system. There's 3 ways to power it. You can run it off electric, which is this little icon here, the little plug icon. You can run it off your 12-volt leisure battery, which is this little battery icon here. Or you can run it off your gas, which is this little gas flame symbol here. If you're on site, you're going to run it off, obviously, your little plug, your 230 volt. If you're travelling, you're going to run it off your battery. And if you're wild camping, you're going to run it off your gas. Now, a lot of people think that when they're wild camping, they can run the fridge off the 12-volt leisure battery. That's not the case. If it was, it'd simply trip the electrics. So please ensure that you only run it off your gas when wild camping. The reason for it, as I say, it trip your van. It draws so much power, it'd leave you with no power in the leisure battery, so it won't allow you to do that. The only reason you can run the 12-volt battery when you're travelling is you've got a built-in alternator with this vehicle, which will send power when the engine's running to the leisure battery, which will allow you to power the fridge. If you're running it off gas, you've got a little igniter button here that you can obviously feed the gas through, and you've got a little temperature dial here as well. Obviously, you can turn these just like so to select what you're after. For your fridge, what I recommend is does a good job at maintaining the temperature. So if you want frozen things to be in the freezer, put frozen things in there. If you want cooled things to be in the fridge, put cooled things in there, just to help maintain it. On the opposite side, you've got your bathroom area. I open this up. As I say, the vehicle hasn't had a valet yet, but you can see that you've got your bathroom. And then, as you can see, just by folding this over, it reveals the toilet. As I mentioned outside, the main thing that you need to know on here is the blade. The blade is really important. So when the toilet is in use, the blade is this piece of plastic, by the way, here. You need to ensure the blade is open. Push that away from you to open the blade, so all the waste can drop into the cassette. Once you've used it, press the blue button up on there, which will activate your flush, and then close the blade. You close the blade for 2 reasons. The first reason being is it stops basically the odours from escaping, but it also ensures that it gets you into the habit for when you remove the cassette, it's already ready for you, and nothing's been left open. But yeah, that's how you do it. As I mentioned, the blue button on the top will activate your flush. You will need your pump on for that to operate. Moving to the back, you can see that you've got your hanging rail here. So you've got your hanging space up at the top here. And you've also got an aerial which is located in here. Your amplifier box is here. And underneath there, you've got a little switch which will turn it on and off. To better your signal, all you need to do is unscrew this, like so. Push up on the pole, and that will extend the pole and better your signal. You can then tighten that into position, and you can see you can then direct by twisting the pole the way of the aerial. If you want to tilt the head of the aerial to get a better signal, you can then wind this using this little winder to tilt it. And then when you're done, all you need to do is simply pull that back down and tighten that back into position. When travelling, you need to always make sure that, of course, that's placed down. Located in here, we've got your carpets. We've also got your freestanding table for the back, and then you've got your awning pole as well. Now, as we go to the back, you can see that you've got your rear lounge. This area does actually turn into a bed, which I'll do for you now. As you can see, it just turns into a bed by simply pulling out the slats, like so. And then all you need to do, just remove this middle cushion from the middle. And then just pull these items together. You can see that's just making up the mattress there. Do the same on this side. As you can appreciate, it's a little bit difficult with one hand, but that'll just slot into there, and then it creates a big double bed. So it's dead simple and dead easy. Now, coming back into the lounge, you can see I've just removed the cushions up from this section just to show you where your boiler is located. This is your Truma boiler. The only thing you need to know in here is the drain down system. It looks very complicated, but all you need to know is what this little yellow valve does. To empty the system, all you need to do, as you can hear, pull up on that and let that drain down. And again, like your drain down points on the outside, drain that into the large grid on site, and then just simply leave that open. This is the most important thing to always drain down, because if you get frozen water in here, it's not cheap to replace. So please ensure that this is drained down after every time of using it. And as you can see, that's just flicked up. To seal it, simply flick it down, and then you can use it. When you're on site, flick that down, pull the water into it, and you're good to go. A lot of people do forget about this and wonder why there's water trickling out the van. It's always because of this. So just make sure that that is down when in use, and up when not in use. You've got a bit of storage as well underneath here, and by accessing this, you'll also have access to your RCD breaker and your fuses. So this is where, if the vehicle ever trips, you can come to this point and check all your fuses to see what has blown. On the other side, it's all clear underneath there, so it's a really nice bit of storage. And you've also got, in your rear one, another bit of storage as well, which runs along the back of the vehicle. So that concludes the handover video on this Elddis Autoquest 145. I hope you enjoyed.